Hello everyone, welcome to another video on the channel and welcome to our first non-strategy guide video in quite a wee while. And in this one we're going to look at a bit of a GT Sport hot topic at the moment, and that is the Slipstream qualifying. We're going to ask ourselves, is it really worth it? And then we're going to do some testing. Now, what is Slipstream qualifying? Well, it's pretty much what it says on the tin. In the FIA races, both the nations and the manufacturers, you have a short qualifying session before the race to sort of obviously set your best time and decide the qualifying order. Now, when I first started playing the game, Slipstream qualifying in FIA races was not really a thing. I think it's because the Slipstream was still set at around about 0.8 seconds behind the car behind, but when it got changed to about 1.5 seconds, it did very quickly seem to become a thing. So what was happening is that drivers were looking to get a slipstream around the lap because the gain in the slipstream was deemed to be worth more than suffering in the dirty air. Now, as the game has progressed over the years, changes to the slipstream and the dirty air have meant that drivers have now got this kind of mythical kind of belief that they cannot qualify without slipstream. Even with the changes to the slipstream fairly recently that reduced the power, drivers still think that they must qualify in the slipstream, and if they don't, then it's just not worth doing. Now, the problem with that is you get sort of situations as what we're looking at here on screen. This is my recent qualifying session for round 9 of the Manufacturer Championship, Group 4 at Maggiore. So these drivers are all coming into the last corner. They've all decided to stop because they don't want to be at the head of the queue. And going into the last corner, this is how they're going to start their lap. Now, that is just an absolute mess, of course. Now, it can be a lot worse than that in top split, where you can have 20 drivers basically sitting still before somebody eventually decides to burst in the pack. Sometimes they get themselves sorted out, very often they don't, and it just means that lots of drivers end up being compromised, or the driver at the very front has picked up a penalty in the jostling at the front of his lap has been ruined. Cars are right behind each other, right up the backside of each other and all that, so how they can possibly think they're going to get a good lap in that situation, I don't know. But as I said, it has become this very much belief that, you know, you must qualify in the slipstream in order to get a good lap. So let's just look at the pack here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars so far up to the red Ferrari. As we go down the queue, 7, 8, 9 and 10 have all came into view, so cars up here at the corner quite closely packed. When we come up round the corner, we've got 11, 12, round the corner 13, 14, 15, and we've got 16, 17 cars there, all in a queue. So 17 out of the 20 drivers have decided that they're going to try and play this slipstream lottery game. And I'm just going to let some of the absolute shenanigans that have played out in this qualifying session play out on the screen as I explain what the test is that we're going to conduct in this video. Now, I tend not to try and get a slipstream in qualifying. On the odd occasion that I have made an attempt to sort of be in the queue, it's not worked out for me. I've not set a quicker lap than I felt I could, and very often I get caught up in shenanigans like, or instances like we're seeing on the screen here. You just end up stuck behind somebody who's slower than you, or somebody is behind you that's quicker, but they end up going for stupid overtakes even though you're supposed to be qualifying. People want to race into corners. So I've very much, after a couple of attempts and failing, going for the old solo qualifying. I guess get out the front, put my lap in, and then if I've got enough time to try and put a second lap in, then we go for that. So in this test, I want to see, really, is slipstream qualifying worth it? Now, I've, like many other drivers, used the fact that I don't get a slipstream in qualifying as an excuse for not doing very well. In general, I'm just not very good at qualifying anyway. However, it definitely was quite a convenient excuse to sort of certainly make myself feel better, to say that the reason I qualified poorly was I never got a slipstream. That was until I started doing a little bit of testing, and after qualifying sessions I was sort of maybe going to set up a lobby and I would try and get myself a slipstream to see how much quicker it would be. And I wasn't getting the instant results that I thought I would. I wasn't getting that instant half a second quicker over a lap that everybody said you would do if you'd got a slipstream in qualifying. So it did get me thinking that I did, you know, let's put this to the test. Let's apply some science to this slipstream qualifying and see if it really is the be-all and end-all of qualifying, and whether it really is worth taking the risks that we're seeing on screen in order to improve your qualifying. The test is essentially fairly simple. We're going to do 5 laps with slipstream, 5 laps without slipstream. We're going to take the optimal time for each session. What we've done is we've set up a race against the AI. I've modified a Group 4 car, in this case the Jaguar, to be able to keep up with a Group 3 AI car. The tracks have been specifically chosen and the car has been set up for each track individually in order for me to be able to keep up with the AI car but not get held up by in the corners, and that way we get a representable result for each lap. As I said, we're taking the optimal sectors from each lap in order to come up with the ultimate lap time. So this is the first test here at Maggiore West. You can see all the data there on the screen. So the slipstream's optimal lap came in at 1 minute 22.175 versus the non-slipstream optimal lap of 1:22.235. You can see the sectors individually on the screen there, all very close, and the speed trap, which was set at the end of the lap just before the hairpin, the slipstream coming in at 142 miles an hour and the non-slipstream 141. So let's move on to Fuji, perhaps a track where the slipstream might be a little bit more beneficial. So you can see we've actually reversed the big screen and the wee screen around for this one. We've got the slipstream on the big screen this time. So you can see we're getting a very good drag all the way down here from into turn 1. On the brakes nicely, round the corner, back on the power nice and early, and we get the slipstream down into turn 2. What I've done here is I've taken each sector, the best sector from each lap, and kind of spliced it together into the ultimate lap. So there may be a few numbers and all that change on the screen, but as I said, I like to put each sector together to sort of show you the best lap that way. So looking at the numbers, so obviously we're at Fuji short, slipstream coming in at 1 minute 39.650 and no slipstream coming in at 156.815. The biggest difference there, well, the kind of difference is, I would say, spread out over all 3 sectors. You'd expect the slipstream lap to really sort of have an advantage in that first sector, but it's only about half a tenth quicker. So it's still obviously important to get that first corner right in terms of getting a good lap, I would say, from that. So in the last corner we come here, you can see as we come out the last corner we're going to have a very good slipstream all the way down to the finish line. Speed trap, that was taken at the end of the lap, so for the slipstream 165 miles an hour and for no slipstream 162, so quite a difference there, I would say, and to be expected as well. The third track is the Autopolis short course. Maybe not a track you would expect for the slipstream to have that much of a benefit, but over half the lap is full throttle, taking on the main straight, and then round the first corner and onto this second short straight. There is a short straight at the back end of the course as well. The slipstream does definitely come into play a little bit in this one if you can get it. Even so, the sort of difference between the slipstream lap and non-slipstream lap is just over half a tenth, and all of that comes from the first sector, which is not surprising at all. The first sector is just a straight with one corner. So the non-slipstream lap loses just under a tenth there compared to the slipstream. We do gain most of that back in the twisty middle sector with I'm guessing the dirt air came into effect a little bit in the slipstream lap, but it's not enough to make the non-slipstream lap quicker than the slipstream lap. Speed trap wise, set at the end of the main straight, 156 versus 154 in favour of slipstream, which again you would absolutely expect. Now moving on to a track where you would absolutely expect the slipstream to blow the non-slipstream lap out of the water. We're at Monza without the chicane, and to be fair, the data pretty much confirms that as well, or backs that up. So the non-slipstream lap coming in at just 4.5 tenths slower than the non-slipstream lap. All that's pretty much lost in the first sector. About 3 tenths of it is lost in the first sector. Again, exactly what you would expect. Speed trap wise, it's 171 miles an hour versus 168. I have put 169 there. I think I was looking at the wrong thing. So it's slipstream gain about 3 miles an hour extra down the straight from Parabolica down into Curva Granda. You couldn't actually take Curva Granda full throttle. It was very, very close, but you couldn't quite take it flat out. Interesting enough, the non-slipstream lap does gain a good chunk back in the final sector. In the dirty air of the car in front, going through Ascari that we're approaching, I could definitely feel that the car's a bit more skitterish and I found it a bit more difficult to get on the power. So again, yeah, the slipstream in the straights does have an effect, but you do lose time in the dirty air. You can just feel the car just ever so slightly on the edge a little bit more than when you've got clean air. So on the drag down here to Parabolica, see where the good slipstream all the way down into the last corner. And out you come, and we're still in the slipstream there, albeit the iCar is starting to pull away from us. So that's the end of our test there. And what conclusions can we draw from it? Well, first conclusion we do have to draw from it is that the slipstream is quicker than the non-slipstream. In all 4 of our tests that we did there, we set a quicker optimal lap using the slipstream than we did without it. However, in 2 of the tests, the gain was negligible. In one of the tests, the one at Fuji, it was less than 2 tenths. You probably expect to be a little bit more given the length of the straight in that track, and only really in Monza did it sort of really make a big difference, which you would expect anyway. Now slipstream has always been said to be OP, or slipstream qualifying as OP. If something was quite so OP as what's been made out a lot of the time, then I would expect the gain to be a little bit more than that across all the tracks. However, the question wasn't really, or for the purpose of the video, if you like, wasn't whether slipstream qualifying was quicker. The question was it worth it? And based on my findings there, I would say that the risk of not getting a lap or getting your lap completely compromised for the sake of 2 tenths is probably not worth it. Now bear in mind, that's not a guaranteed 2 tenths to get. You still have to drive the lap wheel in the slipstream. You still have to hit your braking points, you still have to hit your apex, you still have to go on the power nice and early. And all of that's actually a little bit more difficult in the slipstream than not. Because the distraction that you can get from having a car in front of you, or indeed a car behind you, or maybe not quite knowing where your braking marker is when you've got that additional speed of the slipstream, worrying about what the driver behind you might do into a sort of heavy braking zone, means that any gain you get in the slipstream can very easily be lost with a sort of missed braking marker, or just worrying about the car behind you too much. Whereas if you had clear track, you'd be maybe a little bit more confident in where your braking markers were. You're not worried about what other cars around you are doing, and it's absolutely possible you can set just as quick a lap, if not quicker, in clean air than in the slipstream. Now, I'm also willing to accept that maybe this test has got its flaws. One thing I did consider was that I'm in a Group 4 car, and the car that I'm getting a slipstream from is a Group 3 car. So maybe the dirty air effect of that would be a little bit more than you following another Group 4 car, which may well mean that I'm not getting quite the same gain from the slipstream that you would expect. There's also just the fact that I'm maybe just not very good at driving in the slipstream. Maybe my driving style doesn't suit it. As I said, when I've tried to do slipstream qualifying in the past, it just hasn't worked out. However, I was sitting watching Disney's stream last night as he was preparing for the Group 4 manufacturers race at Maggiore Grand Prix circuit, and my kind of question was answered somewhat. So during the course of his stream, he actually did 7 qualifying laps, 2 of them within the race and sort of 5 simulations in practice. Now in 4 of them he had the slipstream, and in 3 of them he didn't have the slipstream. And it was quite interesting to see that these laps that he did without the slipstream were actually quite close. to the majority of his laps he did do in the Slipstream. Now, I'll put the laps up on the screen here for you to look over them and whether we're in Slipstream or not. So as you can see, most of them were fairly close in that kind of 202.6 to 202.8, whether it was in the Slipstream or not. Now, there is an outlier there. He did do a 202.2 whilst in the Slipstream. He did pick up a penalty towards the end, so it didn't actually count. And he did have a compliant car in front of him. He's got Dromus sitting in front of him while he does it. So that, of course, helps. You don't tend to really get that in sort of race situations where you have somebody that's going to help you out in that manner. You can also tell that it was a very, very good lap by just how excited he got in the stream. So there you go, you've got an absolute top line driver doing that there. And as I said, when it came to the race situations, his actual laps within the Slipstream were not that much quicker than what he was doing in the real thing. Okay, so that's Slipstream qualifying for you. Just to wrap up, there is no doubt that it is quicker. If you nail a lap in the Slipstream compared to nailing a lap without the Slipstream, then it's almost certainly going to be a quicker lap. But that's also a crucial thing to remember. You do have to do a good lap in the Slipstream. A bad lap in the Slipstream is not going to be quicker than a good lap without the Slipstream. Slipstream may well make a good lap very good in the case of Tishne's lap that I was talking about earlier on, but as I said, it's not going to cover up everything. You still have to get out there and sort of hit your apexes, braking points and corner exits, etc, etc, etc. It doesn't really matter what you say though. I think it's pretty much here to stay, the old Slipstream qualifying. You're going to have a very hard job convincing many people that it's not worth doing, despite the fact that the vast majority of the time in my sessions, and we're talking about sort of 60k A+ lobbies here, the vast majority of drivers make a mess of it, or their laps are compromised and stuff like that. Unfortunately, I would say Slipstream qualifying is here to stay in the sort of higher split lobbies anyway, until PD come up with some kind of solution to make it go away. I think that may well happen. PD do have a sort of a bit of reputation amongst the community for not listening, but in my experience of playing the game for like over a year now, that's not really true. They have changed things in sort of regards of community complaints, if you like. It may not happen straight away, but we have seen a number of things get changed. Fuel burning's away now, isn't it? The races got longer for a while. They are getting a little bit shorter now, admittedly. But yeah, certainly things do eventually change, so maybe we will see the end of Slipstream qualifying. Maybe we'll come up with some kind of solo qualifying format. I would be up for that. Something like iRacing would probably go down quite well with a lot of people. Anyway, that's my thoughts for this video. Hopefully you've liked what we put together here. Please do hit that like button or that subscribe button if you do. Until the next video, which will be a strategy guide for tomorrow's race. I'm working on that right now, so I will. But until then, thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you on the next one. Goodbye now.